Okay, so one of the things that you can't really see in the UI for this big collections update is an improvement to our automated testing of the back end. Um, and one of at least the way that I've done it is by writing all of this code. And this is uh, rather easy to read for me because we can verify that Bruce Wayne, and I'll just say to have fun, everything that I've done here in all the test cases, it's all from the Batman universe. And so we've got Bruce Wayne and Alfred and the Joker and stuff like that. But one of the things that we'll do here is verify that like Bruce Wayne can sign up successfully. And in order to do that, we have to verify all sorts of things like was it the email address that he wanted? And did we record that Bruce Wayne signed up instead of the Joker signing Bruce Wayne up? And were his collections established? And this has been very helpful to make sure that somebody like the Joker can also sign up. But then we want to make sure that when Bruce Wayne creates a collection, that the Joker cannot get Bruce Wayne's thread, right? To verify permissions. Um, but this is not really shareable across the organization. It would be very hard for everybody here to contribute to this. And so earlier in the week, we decided to build a different testing tool that leverages all of these assertions. And so um, for those who have Git access, and I'll further write up documentation so you don't have to take notes right now. There'll be screenshots and videos and references. But for those who have Git access, there's a new directory once this PR merges called the Corpus. And what the Corpus does is it allows us to upload files. So I would just go grab a file real quick. I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to grab the Doge white paper. And I'm going to go place that Doge white paper in the drop zone. And once the Doge white paper has been added to the drop zone, we can run a program. Go run main.go. And when we run that program, what's going to happen is it's going to automatically curate and organize this corpus of knowledge. And so we can see this particular one went into documents. But if it was an image or a scientific blueprint or something like that, it may have been put into another directory. When we run this program, the README file gets generated and it will tell you all of the types of files that will end up in this directory versus some other directory. CSVs and Excel files, for example, would end up in like, I think, an Office directory. And so you don't have to worry when you contribute to the corpus how we organize it. When there's a file that you want to help write a test case for, to verify that we can chat with it and get the answers back that we expect, all you have to do is drop it in the drop zone and run this program, and it'll automatically keep our library organized. Now that we've started to add documents to the corpus, what do we do with that? And that brings us to the tests. And this is the first test case that leverages the corpus. And some of the thinking here is that we want to make it easy and accessible for everybody in the organization to contribute to enhancing this automated testing of can we upload and process one or more documents, and can we chat with those documents effectively? And so this is what a test case would look like. And it leverages all of that code that I showed a minute ago to verify that a user can sign up and that they're signing up effectively and that they can create a collection and create an asset, et cetera. And so in this particular test case and all the test cases to follow, we have a name. And so this could be like verifying I get X from Y, or verifying that we can compare two 10Ks to each other, or whatever job to be done that we want to verify is actually working automatically through our system. And so all of these test cases added to the corpus, they should all have a ticket associated with them so that we can have higher fidelity conversations where maybe we talked about the iteration of the test case or why we put it, what the problem was that we were trying to solve, et cetera. And so there's a reference in linear to deeper discussion about this particular test case. Now, all test cases are comprised of just a couple of interactions or steps, if you will. And so when this test case runs, we're automatically going to create a new user for every test case, so we don't have to worry about pollution from one user polluting another user's body of content and getting strange answers. So every test case is going to have a new user automatically created. And uh, as that user starts to interact, they need to perform steps. And so in this particular first step, I chose to create a collection. Now, when we create a collection, we can name it anything that you want, and we can describe it however you want, just like a user would do it in the UI. And so if that's all I did and I deleted these other steps, when we run this test case, that's all it would do, right? It would just create a collection. But that's not enough for the goal of uploading content, verifying we're processing it, and then can we chat with it effectively? So the next step in this simple one, which is just chatting with one Markdown document, is to add the asset. And so here we describe the path to the document, which again was automatically organized in the corpus over here on the left when we added it to the drop zone and ran that file. When you run that program, it will tell you where it placed that particular document. And we named that document with an alias. And you might have noticed I named the collection with an alias here. And it's with these aliases that you're able to say, okay, the collection I created here, I want to put this asset into it. And so I just chose the word collection here, but we could have called it foobar, and then we could have called it foobar here. I could have created 3 collections, each with a different name, and put 3 different assets in 3 different collections. But it's this alias that allows us to connect an action that we describe here with a later action here. And so what's happening here is we're creating a collection and we're referring to it as collection in these later steps. Now we're adding this particular asset and we're putting it in the collection that we called collection up here. And then we're going to prompt with that content. We can name the prompt anything we want. This helps in debugging. So I could say a simple test that it works. And if there was some failure here, this would be printed out so you know which prompt it was that had the assertion that wasn't met. And then we're able to put in a prompt. And the prompt can be as long as we want or as short as we want. In this particular case, to just verify that the system is working, I'm asking a question, is Batman's armor reflective? And I don't know if you know a lot about Batman, but Batman wouldn't be that great if his armor was reflective. You'd see him standing in the shadows. And so if you read the specifications of Batman's armor, it's not reflective. And so the simplest test that I could do last night as I was putting this together is just to verify that the answer contains the text no, because I'm expecting that Batman's armor is not going to be reflective. And so again, the way this prompt works is I'm able to name the prompt, which is helpful if the test passes or fails. I'm able to type in my prompt, and I'm able to scope this particular question to the body of knowledge that I want to test. In this case, I'm saying, I want you to reference the armor document, which again, we uploaded here and we came up with the alias armor so I can easily connect these 2 steps together without worrying about asset IDs and collection IDs and all that stuff. And I wanted to point it at the collections document, or the collection that I named collection here with its alias here. And I also don't want world knowledge here. Now,
Hey,
as we
Aaron,
go,
can I ask a quick question?
yeah,
Can this have any sort of like regex in it? Like, can we do like a Boolean no or not? Or how sophisticated can this be?
it can be very sophisticated. Right now, as yesterday, I just got the system to work. And so there's only one assertion right now, which is just the text contains.
Mhm.
But the next assertion, and where I think the real power is going to be, is that we can have another assertion, which is relevancy or something like that.
Mhm.
And you could paste in 3-paragraph answer that you're expecting it's going to be like, and we'll calculate using
Mhm.
the embeddings, how close are these two to each other. And then you could also have a threshold like it should be 80% or greater or 90% or greater. I think that's where the real power is going to be. But we can add additional ones like regex or really whatever we need to do. Those are low lifts at this point. And so I'm going to go ahead and just run this test. And so what the test framework is going to do right now is it's going to go scan that corpus directory for all of the YAML test files that we're adding. And so it's as easy to contribute to this as adding a new document to the corpus if you want, or and adding additional test files. And we can see here, I've got some, oh, I don't have all the services running. So let me fix that. Okay, once I get the file processing service running, we'll run it again and see that it works. And so let's say that I wanted to add another prompt. I could come down here and verify maybe even the same exact question, but a different way of targeting the knowledge. Because in the first one, I said, I want you to talk to this asset specifically that I referenced, and I want you to talk to the collection. Maybe I just do this and I say, don't talk to an asset at all, just point to the collection. And we should get the same exact result because we're sourcing it just from the collection we put the document into without pointing at a specific document. I haven't tried this yet. So I'm going to go run it and we're going to see if it works as I would expect it to work. And I'm going to run it again, and now everything should be online. And so what's happening now, as we can see this test running, is we registered the new user. That's not something you had to write in that document because every test just automatically gets a new user. We can see here that we added that collection in ENG 2185. And we can see a lot of those other assertions that I showed in the code earlier that you don't have to worry about, but we're going to verify that the operation worked. We're going to verify that the collection path we created, which means the way it was parented to my personal collection, worked. We're going to upload the document. We're going to verify all the technicals there. We're going to verify that we can actually send it to Google Storage. Then we're going to verify that we can process it. And so each of these tests take a little while because we're actually waiting for the processing, which in this case took 14.1 seconds. And once that file has been uploaded and processed, we established a WebSocket connection and we created the thread, and then we interacted with the thread. And so you can see I do have a problem here I need to look at. But this will be merged soon. And the goal of this is to make it as easy as possible for the entire company, anybody who has Git access, to contribute tests. And so these tests, and I'll have many more examples to show how sophisticated they can be or how simple we want them to be. But you can imagine that I created a collection and I wanted to upload 3 different documents. And so I would have 3 different add asset steps. And then in the prompt, I might say, compare these 3 documents and tell me who has the highest revenue and who has the lowest revenue. And those facts are not going to change as long as those documents don't change, which means as we add an assertion here, such as relevancy, we might paste in content that says Microsoft had the most revenue at 1.26 billion, followed by the other companies that we put in there. And one of the things that I'm excited about here is that as we start to work on improving the accuracy of the answers that we're providing, or the speed at which we process the files, these diagnostic reports can be written out and we can chart them over time. Are our answers becoming better and better? Is processing getting faster and more reliable? And so this is a big step forward into automating the testing of really the entire backend, and making it so that Shelby, Alex, and I aren't the only ones who can contribute tests. And so this is just a peek. Once this work is merged, I think we'll go through a training swarm where we open this up to contribute to everybody, and we're helping you because this is really a way to help us scale. The more comfortable you are contributing tests, and there are so many tests, even with just that simple relevancy, upload these 3 documents or this CSV document, then I expect this type of an answer back. Just that alone, we could probably have 100 to 200 versions of this document. And that will go a long way to helping us all be really proud of this product by you contributing 3, 4, 5, 10 tests. Every time there's a customer issue, like, oh, what was that document? Can we have that document? Well, let's put it in the test case and make sure that we always get back the kind of answer that we expected. And so I'll stop there. Does anybody have any questions?
Just one comment about the actual implementation. It uses go test, which is good, except it has a 10-minute limit. And you can't get around. So something to consider.
Something to consider. I don't know. I would hope that an individual test won't go longer than 10 minutes, but we might push that to limit. We'll see. I don't want to sit here for 10 minutes waiting for a test.
I want to express some appreciation for what seems both straightforward and really sophisticated as well. Just coming a bit downstream of, or I guess going upstream rather, like bringing the testing upstream. And Aaron, one thing you had mentioned earlier this week on a different call was that this will be less expensive than doing more downstream testing. So if I understood that correctly, I just wonder if you could speak to that and why that is.
A couple of ways to think about the cost. First off, this is something that only runs on our laptops. And so we're not going to be going to the LLM for every time somebody pushes a pull request or something like that. I think the biggest point to make on cost is that the amount of surface area that this covers is huge. And so you just by contributing one of these documents, and I'll go show this code over here again. You're testing so much of this stuff here. And if I run this, and this might help make the point, I'm going to run with coverage. This does take 3 minutes or so because we're going to upload an asset and all that. But at the end of this, it's going to tell us how many lines of code are covered for the control plane application. And every time you contribute one of these files, you will be covering approximately the same number that's going to be reported here. Now, so one of the challenges of our product is that even though all the code's working, we took content from this document and gave it to the LLM, and that worked. It didn't break. The data moved between one system and another. It doesn't mean that it was high quality answers that we got back, because what content did we give the LLM? What content did we get back? And I think that's the biggest point on how much this is going to save cost, because we can cover so many variants of the possibilities with just a simple text file that anybody here can contribute to. And so I don't have to stop the world. I can still build a feature while Pat contributes 10, 15, 20 test cases because there was a customer call that we thought could have gone better. And so here we can see the report here is that just that one test that I ran covered 71% of all the code in our Storytell platform, all the Go code. And so when Pat uploads 1 or 2 or 3 of those files, he's also covering approximately the same amount of surface area, but with a different variant. And that's, I think, where the real cost advantage comes from. It really will help us scale testing well. Now, the downside of all this is that it's not UI testing. And there's a whole nother system stacked on top where bugs can leak through, right? Buttons cannot be clicked, or all sorts of things. But it effectively cuts the haystack in half and we can feel really, we can shore up testing for the back half of the system, which really helps isolate when a bug report comes in. Oh, was it here or was it there? I hope that's a helpful long answer to your question, but I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I think just Giordio going upstream is something you talk about a lot, and just how that sort of save time and money, and also like how can we build a system, like so many issues we run into are about system level issues. And so I think this is a great example of that, of going upstream and building a system so that we can have really robust testing.
So as you get to play with this next week, I'm obviously open to feedback to make it easy, but I'll just highlight the some high level things here again. I'm going to take this cursor Mac install file. The basics of how you contribute to this is you take some file that we support. If we don't support it, you'll get an error. You place it in the drop zone. Actually, I'm going to use an image. I'm going to take this image here. You paste it in the drop zone, so you don't have to worry about where you save that file. You run this program. It will automatically organize it. Now you can see a whole new directory has popped up, images. My Ravenclaw image is here. It generated a markdown file telling you of all the types of files that will go here. Every type of file we support, the system knows how to organize it into our corpus. And then now, if I wanted to, I could come over here and copy this test to a new test, like can we process the Ravenclaw image? And I think this is a great example because it's not just about happy path testing. This is also sad path testing. Like if we look at this, there's nothing in here that our platform can really make use of, right? And so this is a great example to test, did we report a sane error back to the user that, sorry, we can't work with that particular image. Doesn't mean we can't work with images, but this is not a good example. And so that's something that we should have automatically tested. And so as you observe calls, you run into issues yourself, every one of those things is a learning opportunity to contribute back a test case here to make sure that we hold the ground, we hold the improvements, we always offer a good error message if there's nothing we can extract from the image. And so I think the hard part here will just be coordinating. As Shelby pointed out, there are time limits on tests. Running tests does take time, and we don't want to have a bunch of duplicate tests. And so I think that's something that we'll be able to monitor in the pull request process. But we don't need 10 tests verifying that JPEG images that we can't get text out of don't, that they get errors back to the user. We just need one. And so we just have to stay coordinated on the types of tests we're running. And that is why I chose to have every test represented by a ticket, because you don't have to just come to the code to see the tests. We'll also be able to go to linear and say, okay, show me all of the tests in linear. And if one starts failing, we can go back to that and continue the conversation. And so we're tying linear together. Our document corpus is automatically managed. And hopefully this is about the easiest format I could find for anybody to be able to contribute a test.